Please be seated. The court is now in session. For today's proceeding, we will hear testimonies of two witnesses. First one is TCW 742. And the second witness is TCW 673. Mr. Sao and Dan, could you report the attendance of the parties and individuals to today's proceeding? Greffier. Mr. President, for today's proceeding, all parties are present. As for the accused Nguyen Chia, he is present in the holding cell downstairs, pursuant to the decision of the trial chamber concerning his health. And as stated by you, Mr. President, for today's scheduling, we will hear the testimony of a witness, TCW 742, and for the afternoon session, it will be TCW 673, related to the characters of the accused Kieu Sampon. TCW 742 confirms that through his knowledge he is related to Kieu Sampon, but he has no relationship to any of other parties in this case. Pursuant to Rule 24.2 of the internal rules, the witness TCW 742 is not required to take an oath concerning the testimonies in relation to the accused Kieu Sampon. However, this witness took an oath this morning for his testimony related to Nguyen Chia. This witness is present and ready to be called by the chamber. And we also have a reserve witness this morning. That is TCW 648. Thank you, Mr. President. President, thank you. Court officer, could you invite the witness TCW 742 into the courtroom? President, good morning, Mr. Witness. May we know your name? Witness, my name is Tun Seun. Thank you, Mr. Tun Seun. How old are you? The interpreter cannot hear it. Question, how old are you? Mr. Tun Seun, please observe a pause before you respond. And you need to see the red light on your microphone first. It means that it is activated. And it means that you can speak into the microphone and your voice will go through the distribution system for the court and for the public, as well as your voice will be interpreted simultaneously into English and French. Where do you live? Answer: I lived in Pai Lin. Thank you. And Mr. Ton Soon, what is your current occupation? Answer: I am a farmer. Question: what are your parents' names? Answer: my father is Tun Som and my mother is Kon Sain. Question: and your wife's name? And how many children do you have? My wife's name is Kiu Rotana and we have 3 children. President: thank you, Mr. Tun Soon. As reported by the greffier of the court, you are related to the accused Kiu Sampon, but you are not related to any other parties to this case. And the question to you is, how are you related to Kiu Sampon? Answer: I am his son-in-law. Thank you. And there is also another accused, Noon Chia, and as reported by the greffier, you are not related by blood or by law to any other civil parties in this case, nor to the accused Noon Chia, and that you already took an oath before your appearance before this court. In relation to the questions that will be put to you in relation to the accused Noon Chia, is this correct? Answer: yes. President, Mr. Tun Soon, as a witness appearing before this court, you have the right to refuse to respond to any question or request for your comments that would incriminate you. This is your right against self-incrimination. And in collaboration with WISU, we have provided you your duty counsel in cases that you may need to consult with him if you are concerned of self-incrimination. And regarding your obligation as a witness, you must respond to all the questions put to you by judges of the bench or any other parties, and you must tell the truth that you have seen, have observed or experienced directly of the events that put you through the question. And Mr. Tun Soon, have you been interviewed by the investigators of the Office of the Co-Investigating Judges? Answer: no. President, thank you. And for the process of questioning this witness, Mr. Kiu Sampon's defense will be allowed to question first. And for this witness, the time allocation for Kiu Sampon and Noon Chia's defense teams is 1 hour 15 minutes. You may now proceed. Kung Samon, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors, and good morning, everyone. And good morning, Mr. Tun Soon. My name is Kung Samon, counsel for Kiu Sampon, and I have some questions for you. Can you enlighten us on your educational background? Answer: I studied for 1.5 years. Question. What did you study? Answer. I studied Khmer literature. Question. Where? Answer. I studied during the Democratic Cambodia period. Question. Where did you study? Answer. It was a primary school near Swai Pope Pagoda. Thank you. Now, regarding your employment, can you tell us regarding your main employments so far? Answer. My apology. Could you specify the period? Question. What was your first job? Or in what year did you start working? Was it before, during, or after 1975? Answer. In 1977, I was studying at a primary school near Swai Pope Pagoda for 1.5 years. After that, I moved to another location to be in the group under the supervision of Pong, and that was in 1978. Question. When you moved to Pong's location, did you continue your study or did you start working there? Answer. I was studying. I learned to type the typewriter. Question. Can you be more specific as to what year did you learn to type? Answer. It was in late 1978. Question. How long did you spend at the place where you learned to type? Answer. I was there for 3 to 4 months. Question. Did you know the name of that location? Answer. It was called K3. Thank you. Can you tell us where were you before 1975? Answer. Before 1975, I was with my parents in Bati district. Question. And how come you came to stay at K3 in Phnom Penh? Answer. Initially, I joined the children unit that was part of the military force in Kampong Speu, and at the time I was with my elder brother. Question, please continue. Answer. Later on, the children amongst us were selected to come to Phnom Penh. Question. What year was it when children were selected to go to Phnom Penh? Answer. It was in 1976. Question. Can you recall the month? Answer. It was probably in July or August 1976. Question. How old were you at the time? Answer. I was 11 years old. Question. You left Kampong Speu for Phnom Penh, and upon your arrival in Phnom Penh, where did you stay? Answer. I was at the current National Assembly place. Question. What was it called back then? Answer. It was called the Assembly at the time. Question. Upon your arrival at the Assembly, what were you assigned to do? Answer. My duties at the time was cleaning the compound around the Assembly and to cut the grass and to look after the garden. Question. How long did you stay at the Assembly? Answer. It was about 2 to 3 months. Question. Did any of your group stay with you at the time? Answer. Yes, I had some friends. There were 20 of us altogether, but we separated. Question. Upon leaving the Assembly, where did you go? Answer. I went to a location called K8. It was the agricultural office. Question. Where was K8 located? Answer. It was near the current embassy of Russia. It was to the south of the current embassy Russia towards the riverbank. Question. Who was your supervisor when you were there? Answer. His name was Tang. I call him Pu Tang or Uncle Tang. He was the chief of the office. Question. Did you stay long at the K8 office? Answer. I was there for a while, but I cannot recall the number of months. Question. What else did you did besides plantation? Answer. No. Question. When did you leave K8? Answer. I left in early 1977, then to study at the primary school near Swai Pope Pagoda. Question. Was it the school where you just told us you studied Khmer literature there? Answer. Yes. Question. Besides learning Khmer literature, did you study any other subjects at the school near Swai Pope Pagoda? Answer. Besides learning the literature, I did not study any other subjects. Question. How many students were in your group? Answer. There were about 30. Question. Who was the teacher? Answer. Pong was the one who taught. Question. Were there other teachers? Answer. There was John or brother John. Question. Any others? Answer. No. Question. How long did you study at the school near Swai Pagoda? Answer. It was for 1 year and a half. Question. And when did you stop studying near the school near Swai Pagoda? Answer. It was around June or July 1978. Question. Where did you go then? Answer. I went to K3. Question. What was your role at K3? Answer. I was a youth and I studied how to type. Question. What about the rest? Answer. The rest, they were older than me, so they had different duties. Question. Can you recall the place where you learned to type? How many of you were all together there? Answer. There were more than 10 of us. Question. You learned to type. Did you type any other documents or the kinds of document that you type? Answer. We learned to type and we looked at the magazine and tried to type following the words on the magazine. Question. Were you given any document to type, for example, a message or a letter?
Response. No. Question. At K3, can you describe to the chamber where you lived? Response. We stayed at a house to the south of K3. At that time, it was known as the consulate office for Singapore. If I recall correctly, that's the house where I stayed. Question. Who was your direct supervisor? Response. Uncle Pong was. Question. Was he the same person? Is he the same person, Pong, who also taught you at Swai Pope? Response. Yes. Question. If you still recall, can you tell the chamber the living condition at that time, where you studied, where you worked? Response: life was normal. We had normal meals. We slept in a room where we also studied. The room was with a typewriter, and we practiced typing. Question: how long had you been at K3? Response: I had been there for about a few months before the Vietnamese came, and then we left. Question: did you ever meet someone in the leadership of the Democratic Cambodia regime? Response: no. Question: did you ever see Mr. Khieu Samphan at K3? Response: no, I didn't. Question: thank you. When did you get to know Mr. Khieu Samphan? Response: I met him during the struggle period. Question: can you be more specific as to when exactly you saw him? Response: it was in 1982. Question: what did you do, or what was your job when you saw him? Response: at that time I was a telegram decoder. Question: can you tell the chamber how you associated with Mr. Khieu Samphan in the capacity as you worked as a decoder of the telegram? Response: I was also delivering the telegrams and received some credentials at Malay. Question: how often did you have to be engaged in your tasks? Response: normally when other ambassadors or diplomats who would come to offer their credentials to the king, the former king, then I would go there. Question: how long had you been staying or working close to Mr. Khieu Samphan? Response: I had been under the supervision of Pang, but during some missions I had to travel with him. Question: can you please give us the exact time period, in particular when you said you had to go with him during some mission? Response: that was from 1982 to 1983. Question. Did you also work with Mr. Kyusampon on other occasions, other periods of time, for example? Response. I left him and I had to have a mission to France. Question. When was it? When did you leave Mr. Kyusampon for France? Response. It was in late 1983. Question. Until when did you see him again? Response. I saw him again in 1989. Question. In 1989, when you saw Mr. Kyusampon again, what did you do? Response. I was still in charge of delivering messages. Question. To whom did you deliver the messages? Response. To Mr. Kyusampon. Question. Until which date you had to continue delivering such messages? Response. I had to deliver the messages until 1990, when I then was assigned to work at the embassy in Peking. Question. Is it correct to say that you left Cambodia for Peking at that time? How long did you remain in Peking? Response. I was there until 1991. Question. Did you return to Cambodia after that? Response. Yes, I did. Question. Upon returning home to your country, what did you do? Response. I still worked at the same unit. Question. At the beginning, you said before the chamber to the president that you are Kyusampon's son-in-law. Can you tell the chamber when you got married? Response. I got married on the 9th of November 1994. Question. What was your occupation at that time when you got married? Response. I was an ordinary combatant. Question. Please tell us about your relation with Mr. Kyusampon when you were delivering the messages. As a person who worked close with Mr. Kyusampon, please describe his personal character in general? Response. Mr. Kyusampon is a gentle person. He is very honest and he is very gentle with the public. Question. Do you know what Mr. Kyusampon did after 1979? Response. He was the Minister of Foreign Affairs for the factions. Question. Did you know Mr. Kyusampon's relationship with other leaders of the Democratic Cambodia after 1979? Response. So far as I know, he engaged in communication with people outside of the country, including Prince Norodom Sihanouk and Samdech Son San, and he worked mainly overseas. Question. Did you happen to know whether Mr. Kyusampon was ever holding a military position? Response. No, never. Question. Do you know or are you aware whether Mr. Kyusampon ever engaged in any military decision after 1979? Response. No, I'm afraid not. Question. Regarding Mr. Kyusampon's character, what would be the special good points regarding his personality that impress you? Response. Mr. Kyusampon is a very honest and gentle person. He had contacts with people abroad, including Khmer immigrants, and he was very much loved by many other people. Question. Regarding your observation concerning Mr. Kyusampon's conduct and how he treats other people, can you tell something about this? Response. Kyusampon to me is not a cruel person. He a very gentle man. Question. Regarding his lifestyle, the way he lives his life, can you describe this to the chamber? Response. Kyusampon is a very simple person when it comes to his lifestyle. He eats whatever he has, and he educates his children to be modest. Question. You said Khieu Samphan educates his children, but please be more specific on what points, on which topic he educates his children. Response. He educates his children to be good people, to be law-abiding citizens, and to do good things, to grow crops, and do farming. Question. I may also wish to ask you some questions regarding the time period when you were with Mr. Khieu Samphan until the date when he was arrested and detained at the ECCC's detention facility. So how long had you remained close to him during this period of time? Response. I had been close to him since the integration period. Question. What year was it? It was in 1988 or 1989. Question. Did you live with Mr. Khieu Samphan under one roof, or you shared a different home? Response. We lived together under the same roof. Question. After 1994, indeed after you got married, where did you live? Response. I lived in the unit. Question. Did you continue to associate with Mr. Khieu Samphan, or did you continue to work with him? Response. No, I didn't. Question. I would like to go back a little bit to Mr. Khieu Samphan's character. Now, as his son-in-law, what would be your impression regarding his personality? What would be the good points that you have taken note and that you treat him as a good father-in-law, a good role model? Response. Mr. Khieu Samphan has not distinguished the roles of his own sons, daughters, and in-laws. He has treated us equally. Question. What about your treatment towards Mr. Khieu Samphan? Has you, or how do you show your respect for him? Response. I respect him as my father-in-law. Question. Do you still recollect any achievements by Mr. Khieu Samphan that are worth mentioning by you, or that are commendable by you? Response. He is very gentle. He has no discrimination against anyone. Question: what about his conduct, personal conduct and treatment towards other people in his neighborhood, and how these neighbors treat him? Response: Mr. Kilsompon has built good rapport with a lot of people in his neighborhood. No one dislikes him. No one hates him. Question: now, you may be familiar with the situation when Mr. Kilsompon used to work in the Democratic Cambodia. In your capacity as his son-in-law, did you ever engage in any conversation when Mr. Kilsompon discussed about his past during the Democratic Cambodia? Response: no, we never had any discussion on this. Question: are you familiar with Mr. Kilsompon's political standpoint? So what is Mr. Kilsompon's political belief? Response: Question: Mr. Soon, do you understand my question, please? Mr. Soon, counsel, could you repeat it more precisely? Question: I was asking you this question since you used to live under the same roof with Mr. Kilsompon. Are you familiar with his political standpoint? So what is his political belief? And had he ever engaged in discussing any of the political affairs with you or with other people whom you know? If so, please tell the chamber. Response: I can see that Mr. Kilsompon has done his best to follow whatever former Prince Norodom Sihanouk wanted him to do, and he maintains his neutral position as that of the former prince. Question: regarding your daily life and your interaction with Mr. Kilsompon, what kind of advice have you ever received from him? Response: he has advised us on how to work hard to earn our living and to do farming, and he has educated us and encouraged us to possess a piece of land so that we can cultivate rice for our living. Question. Thank you, Mr. Tun Seun. Do you have anything to add on top of all the questions I put to you? Response. No, I don't. Counsel. Thank you, Mr. Tun Seun. Mr. President, I have no further questions and I thank you very much. The President, thank you, Counsel. Next, we would like to hand over to the co-prosecutors to put some questions to this witness. You may proceed.
Mr. President, Your Honours, may it please you, good morning. Good morning to my fellow counsel, and good morning to you, Mr. Tun Seun. My first question is this. When did you first learn to decode telegrams?
Response. I learned to decode these telegrams during the period of the tri-party.
Did you learn to decode telegrams when you were at K3?
Response. At K3, I learned to type using the typewriter.
Did you learn to decode telegrams at K3?
Response. No, I didn't.
Do you know why your defence team would have submitted a document to the court, E9/11.2, stating in relation to you, and I quote, Tun Seun was a young Khmer Rouge who was sent to Phnom Penh with other children in 1976, brackets, to the former National Assembly, then to K1, and finally to learn decoding at K3.
No.
I want to take you back, please, to the time in early 1977 when you were studying at a primary school near Svai Popai Pagoda. Is the school where you were studying on Sotiros Boulevard or otherwise known as Sotiros School?
Yes, it was the Sotiros school.
Your teacher for the time that you were at Sotiros School, you've mentioned as Pang. Was his full name Norn Sopang?
At that time, I did not the full name. I only knew him as Uncle Pong.
Is it right that together in the class there were children from a number of provinces or areas in Cambodia?
They came from different provinces, but I did not know which provinces they came from.
Mr. President, I'd like to read, please, some extracts of some previous testimony in this case. Again, I've had to print these off the printer in the last few minutes in the courtroom, and I only have them available in English. But with your leave, can I please quote part of the testimony of Norn Thapong from this court on the 29th of August 2012.
President, yes, you may proceed.
So that my learned friends can follow this, it's the testimony on the 29th of August 2012, and the relevant timing is 14:23.49. So, Mr. Tun Suan, I'm now reading to you what Norn Thapong had to say about Soteros School, and then I'll ask you some additional questions. I quote, "I was a school teacher. I was in charge of providing training to people who could have been sent from various provinces. I had to train them on how to understand writing, reading, and typing, and I was also tasked with teaching them to understand some Latin letters in English. And gradually, I also taught them to decode secret telegrams." Question: when you were teaching children, how old were these children? And what was the motive behind training these children on decoding the telegrams? Answer: the main motive for teaching them was to ensure that these children acquired some skills to serve the party to the future. In particular, they needed to be trained on decoding telegrams and typing. All of these were important as part of their skills so that they could perform this work to serve the party. These children were mainly 12 years old. Now, I'm going to ask you again, did you learn anything at all whilst at the Soteros School to do with the decoding of telegrams?
No, I did not, because at that time we were still studying literature and we did not know the alphabets yet.
Did there come a time when you were at Soteros School that you became aware that any of the children's students were involved in the decoding of telegrams?
On the study of decoding was done by those elder children who already learned the alphabets, but I was in the younger group, so I did not study any decoding program as we were still studying the alphabets and the literature.
I'm going to move on to the time when you were at K3. You said in relation to this period, I studied how to type in your evidence. And learned counsel for Khieu Samphan asked you if you typed any documents. And your answer was, I looked at the magazine and tried to follow the words. He then asked, did you ever get involved with a message or a letter? And you said no. At K3, at any stage, did you have any instruction or any involvement in the decoding of telegrams?
No, I did not.
You said in your evidence that the time you were at the Soteros school was from early 1977 until July 1978. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what was the state of your alphabet learning after 1.5 years or thereabouts at Soteros school?
I could read and write.
So when you were at K3, how many other students were with you at K3?
Including those who were elder and who worked, and including us in the younger groups, there were more than 10 of us.
Did you ever, during the period of democratic Kampuchea from 1975 to 1979, see a chart with boxes on it or a page with boxes on it helping in the decoding of telegrams?
No, I did not.
If we move on to 1982, in connection with you receiving some credentials at Malai, is this the time when you say you became, for the first time, a telegram decoder?
The telegrams were sent from overseas embassies through Kiel Sampon to clarify as which embassies actually seek approval on credentials from Samdai O.
The point behind the question was, were you decoding telegrams in 1982?
Yes.
How much experience did you have in the decoding of telegrams before 1982?
I studied it in Pong's unit in the decoding field.
What year was that?
It was around 1981 or 82.
I'd like to move in the next series of questions to the period of 1989. And in answer to questions earlier this morning, you said, and I quote, "I was still in charge of delivering messages, And then when asked to clarify, these were messages to Khieu Samphan. Now, were these messages by telegram, teleprinter, radio broadcast, or other means?
The messages were telegrams.
At that time in 1989, was there a code name for the telegram unit, as in office or a description?
It was mainly dealt with the Cambodian embassies stations abroad. The message were between those embassies and him.
Where was Khieu Samphan when you delivered messages to him in 1989? Which area of which country?
At that time, an unofficial meeting was held in order to seek solutions for Cambodian problems. That meeting was held in Paris in 1989, and it was around July or August.
Perhaps I didn't make the question clear. When you delivered telegrams to Mr. Khieu Samphan, are you saying you only ever did that in another country, or did you deliver telegrams to him when he was in Cambodia or near the Thai border?
It was when he was at the border. I did send messages to him as well.
Thank you. When you sent messages to Khieu Samphan near the Thai border, can you remember the name of the province that Khieu Samphan was in?
He was at the Krawang mountain.
Mr. President, with your leave, can I please adopt the same procedure as was adopted last Friday by showing this witness the Khmer version of the witness statement of TCW 639? Can I please have your leave for this to be done?
President, yes, you may do so. Court officer, could you deliver the document from the prosecutor for the witness examination?
Mr. Tun Suan, I'd like you to have a look at the first perhaps 2 pages of this document, and you'll see the name of this witness just before the words 55 years old. It's on your page 002 84289, and that's the second page of the document. So just before the words 55 years old, there is a name. Can I ask you, first of all, if you recognize that name of that person? I'm not asking you to read the statement. I'm just asking you to confirm, and can your duty counsel perhaps help, whether you recognise the name?
Mr. President, witness please wait counsel for Kisampon. You may proceed. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like the prosecutor to provide the document number, as the document does not exist on the interface, and please provide the exact ER number of the page that you request the witness to read.
The document is E3/71, and the page in Khmer 002-84289. So, Mr. Tun Suan, do you recognise the person who gave this statement?
President, Mr. Tun Suan, please just say yes or no upon reading the name of the person on that document. You do not need to mention the name of that person. And the duty counsel, could you assist your client just to review the name of the person appearing on that paper, if your client knows this person or not?
Can I assist? It's on the second page, in the first sentence of the second page.
No, I don't.
This is a man who states on Khmer page 002-88622 the following. Sorry, that's the English ERN, forgive me. The Khmer ERN 00284291. And I quote, after that time, around 1980 or 1981, I met Pang again at K18 in Trak province, Thailand. That time, Pol Pot and Khieu Samphan were also staying at K18. Pong was the chairman of the telegram unit at K18, which was the working office of Pol Pot and Khieu Samphan. I worked at K18 in the telegram unit with Pong until 1992/1993. My first question is, were you ever aware that the telegram unit at K18 was the working office of Pol Pot and Khieu Samphan?
President, witness, please respond to the question that was put to you. If you don't understand the questions, please ask the question to be repeated. And if you understand, please respond. Answer, yes, I do.
I just want to clarify that you do know that the telegram unit at K18 was the working office of Pol Pot and Khieu Samphan. Is that correct?
No, they were in different offices.
Were you aware of Pol Pot and Khieu Samphan having a shared office somewhere near Kok Kong?
They were at different locations.
Did you ever meet or talk to any of the bodyguards of Khieu Samphan about where Khieu Samphan went for meetings?
No, I did not know.
If you turn to Khmer page 00284-296, English ERN 002-88-626. So can I please ask the Duty Council to assist to get this page? Khmer page 00284-296. This is here.
95 and 96.
There is a portion of this statement, and I quote, the witness is talking about at K18, and he states, Pol Pot and Khieu Samphan, who were my direct supervisors, were the persons who gave direct orders at K18. Did either of those two men ever give you any direct orders?
I received instructions and orders only from Pong because I was under his group.
So, was the telegram office that you worked in with Pong in 1989 called K18?
No, Pong was not at K18. He was at another location.
So, can you help us on who was at K18?
Witness, please wait the International Council for Khieu Samphan. You may proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This has happened several times. I say so because no one else has said so. I thought the interpreters would be able to communicate among themselves, but unfortunately they couldn't do so. Several questions put to the witness were not translated or interpreted into French, so we couldn't understand the questions asked particularly the last question that was put to the witness.
I'll try and repeat the last couple of questions or the theme of them so that my learned friend has the understanding. Mr. Tun Suan, your evidence so far is that in 1989, Khieu Samphan was in a different office location from Pol Pot. Is that correct?
Yes.
Where was Pol Pot's location and where was Khieu Samphan's location?
He was with his colleagues, that is those from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Let me repeat the question. In 1989, at which geographical location was Khieu Samphan's office, and at which geographical location was Pol Pot's office?
They were at different locations, but I cannot tell you the exact locations. Khieu Samphan was in a village, but I do not know the name of that village. And I know there were some former colleagues, those intellectuals, they were together with him.
Was K18 Pol Pot's location, Khieu Samphan's location, or another location separate from them?
His location was separate. He was with the intellectuals who was his former colleagues, and I myself was at another location, but only when I was on mission to assign to assist him, then I would go to his location.
So do I have it right that if you received a telegram or message at your location, you would then move from your location to Khieu Samphan's location to give him the telegram?
Yes.
Did Khieu Samphan ever write on a telegram and hand it back to you for transfer to other people?
Response. He wrote on the telegrams mainly topics relevant to the communication with the embassies overseas, and also regarding the instructions received from other embassies. The President, thank you, Mr. Co-Prosecutor and witness. We may adjourn now, and that the next session will be resumed at 10 to 11. Court officer is directed to assist the witness and his jury counsel during the adjournment. The court is adjourned.
សូមក្រោកឈរ ស្រូបក្រោកឈរ